Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Today, well, it's actually the first class of the 203. Okay, welcome to this class. It's a research method with applied statistical analysis. Okay, and then I'm Dr. Yogi, and I'm going to explain about the general things about how to build the research gap and also the general thing in the academic writings. Okay. Okay, you can see that this is my profile. Okay, you can see that anywhere, my name in the Google Scholars or Scopus or anywhere in the scientific platform. Okay, so basically my research expertise is human factors in ergonomics. So I know some of you perhaps like, oh sir, I would like to do Six Sigma and so on. Yeah, I'm still okay. My BS is IE, so I know with the Six Sigma and so on. So I think I'm still okay with that topic. But if you go to what kind of topic it was like agriculture, like some students they went to agriculture, some students they went to the um what was that? It's the Lean Six Sigma was quite okay, but there was one student I was like I couldn't help that much. Oh, pharmacy. There was one is actually related to the pharmacy, and it's actually about quality, but it's so pharmacy. Because I cannot help that much. Okay, I only can help when it comes to the writing, okay, of the paper. Okay. So I would like to talk about these things, okay, about the research gap for today. I would like to enhance your knowledge about what is research gap in academic writing, and tips and challenges of the research gap in the, tips and challenges, and also some studies that utilize one method is actually structural equation modeling. Okay, so we call the gap in research. First of all, you know what? Perhaps all of you don't know about this. Some of you don't know about this one, I would say. There are four levels of publication. Okay, when a faculty in your undergraduate, perhaps, oh, I published a paper I published a paper. Hey, there are four levels of publications. Okay, the lowest one is actually a national conference. For example, like the one that I attended in the Iloilo is actually Philippines Associations of Engineering, oh, PAES, Philippine Association Engineering School, yeah, in Iloilo. And the other one, I was in Zamboanga. It was the Philippine Association Research Manager, and that is a national conference. So when they submit to a national conference, yeah, that's it's actually the lowest level. The second level is actually some student like Jesse, SAS already tried, and this is at least the minimum requirement. If you enroll in a MEPIE in Papua, at least you have to have one Scopus Index international conference. So you present your paper in like 12 minutes and 3 minutes Q&A, okay, and then the paper will be listed in a database. They call it the Scopus. Okay, this is the database for storing all the international publications. Okay, then it goes a little bit higher to the third level. Is we call it the journal. Okay, the third is actually the journal level. Okay, in journal level there are two. I would say there are two types. Okay, the journal that already non-SCI or SCI journal. Non-SCI journal is actually some kind of like new journal, or like still, it's been there perhaps only for several years, the new one. When it's actually got the credibility, it goes to the highest one. We call it SCI journal. Okay, SCI index journal. Okay, so there are two types in here. Some of my students, no, yeah, some of my MEPI students, they already did in this one, not SCI journal. But I also, some of the students who finished my class, they published in the SCI journal. So some students, it's actually, they can go to this one. So says hopefully, we can go to this one since your writing is Maganda. So let's see, okay, if you can go to this one. And then if you can go to this one, you know what, for example, you are brave enough to write until this one, and you got the feeling from my class, and you will feel like, oh, writing a journal is actually not that scary. It's just so it's just, you will know later on, it's not difficult, but you will know it takes a lot of time. a lot of details, you know, how much time you will how much time you want to spend to that journal. It actually will be reflected in the quality of the journal. So this one, later on, if you have to, actually you can get Doctor of Philosophy from the Mapua. So if you are already at this one, you know what, if you're brave enough, then I would like to encourage to everyone to perhaps, you know, let's try to enroll in a Mapua PhD program. And even if you graduated it from MEPIE, you can go directly to the you know what, Mapua PhD program, PhDIE. So who will join? Says you will join, right?
Yes, sir.
You will join, right? Okay, welcome. We'll get to this one. Okay, but anyway, I'll be very different when I'm in a PhD program. You will know when you are in PhD. Anyway, okay, let's go with the research gap. Okay, perhaps in your undergraduate, it will not be these details, you know, but now since you are under me in the research method, I would like to break down all the knowledge that you've learned in the BS, and I would like to show you the master degree level, at least the GS level of the research or academic research. Okay, so you have to know what is the research gap. Okay, research gap. Okay, research gap is actually the problem that researchers would want to see or address in the research. Okay, and it is actually the question or problem that has not been answered in the area of specialization. Okay, and you will see like what is missing, you know, what has not been addressed. Okay, and perhaps last but not least is actually it is one, establish the need or importance or urgency. Okay, for that kind of study. Okay. Of course, like a company study, you know, for example, all of you, sir, we have to do the capstone, you know, we are not like you, we that purely, you know, do research. We have to connect that one in the company. Okay, yeah, of course, you still can do a research gap. For instance, okay, your company is like the food and beverage. Okay, previous studies have been, you know, for example, previous Six Sigma studies, you know, or like many studies mostly related to the Six Sigma in manufacturing, you know, in car manufacturing and so on. However, limited studies, you know, limited available studies related to the food and manufacturing industries, particularly in the Philippines. Yeah, that's already one not that strong, but it's still okay. That is actually one research gap that you can mention in the paper. Okay, so all of you, when you write your capstone and so on, you can address a little bit the research gap. For example, non-studies or like limited information is actually available, you know what, in for example, your company is about food and beverage, you can make it, you can still make it the research gap too if it is still the company study. Okay. Okay, and all types of research always begin with a research gap. Okay. So why it is very important for all of you to identify the research gap. Okay? Later on, you will know that I will force all of you to go to the, you know, I will force all of you to read. Later on, when I see your writing, I will say like, hey, this is not enough. You know what, for example, if you are kind of like a painter, you know, you don't have enough colors to really, you know, draw it nicely. Okay, when your color is not enough, it's because the knowledge that you, or like the materials, the reading materials, you know, are not enough. If the reading materials are you know, quite a lot, then you can try to, you know, draw. It will be rich, you know, it will be reflected later on in the manuscript. So why is it important to identify the research gap? Okay, first you have to enhance your knowledge regarding to the topic. Okay, the way we do the research gap, of course we read some related studies, you know. You cannot say like, oh yeah, that's this is capstone project, so it's only, you know, for example, like a that one we don't need to read some other studies. Hey, later on you still need to read some related studies. Okay. And then you will see your uniqueness or your originality. One of my students, he actually works in the Toyota in the Cavite. Okay, and then he only did service quality to enhance the customer satisfaction for the after sales services. For instance, like changing the oil, changing you know, these small parts and so on after sales. So the car after sales, you know. And then he would like to see what kind of factors you know, really influence the customer satisfactions. Still, he can still, you know, publish it in a journal too with a strong research gap. He mentioned like this one in the research gap, a very limited study, but limited study focus more on the after sales manufacture in the car manufacturing, you know, after sales service, you know, like not many studies on that one. Still, he could actually highlight that the uniqueness or the originality, even it is just a capstone work, okay, or company study. And then, of course, if you read more journals, you will know like, oh yeah, this is actually the correct method. And later on, we can publish it. So basically, that the thing that I like, okay, as academicians, you can bridge something, a case in an industry or in a services, a real case, but you actually try to put the scientific method to really merge it with what thing is actually happening in the industry or in the services. Then you can show it to the world with in the I would say in a scientific way that this one is actually the way to solve this problem. Later on, I can show it to you, the one that I've done for the school, since I'm in the academic industry, right? So I did actually kind of like a project, a presentation project, and then from that project, yeah, it's actually like continuous improvement project in Mapua, but I still 6 months later that project become in a STI journal, because so it means that you can do as problem solving, and also I can publish it. I can responsible that one as academicians to really show it to the world that, hey, this is actually another a project that can go to the SCI journal. Okay. So this is actually many problems with many master and PhD students. Okay, you simply start the research aim without studying what is the research gap. So like, oh yeah, I want to do this study. Like, oh yeah, is there someone who has done that? You have to ask that before. If someone has done that topic before, what is the gap? There is always a research gap. Nowadays is COVID-19. If someone has done the past in, like, for example, online food delivery before the pandemic, now we can do online food delivery during the COVID-19 pandemic. That is still a new thing, in this one. For example, oh sir, someone already has done that topic. Yeah, the same. This is COVID-19. Perhaps it's different. And I still could publish that one too in a good journal too. Okay. As long as you can, always, just like making, like, I would say, marketing, it's like how distinctive it is with the other existing papers. So basically it's just creating that one. Okay. And you don't have to think about the research should be a tangible product. Okay. You have to make a product out of no need, even just a Six Sigma things, and continuous improvement things, it's still a good research. Okay. And then don't just copy, for example, like the previous student has done this and you just copy them and so on. Find your own uniqueness. Everyone has their own uniqueness. So that's why when I this is very individual class, so that's why that I would like to, later on you will know that all of you are so unique. Those who took my class before, they know it. It's like, oh, we are quite diverse. Okay. And then don't feel demotivated when someone already has done a similar study, like what you want to do. Still find what is the research gap in that one, and like stay cool and stay calm, and then like don't worry, we can figure it out together. Okay. When it comes to the publication. Okay. So research gap is not the same with the research aim. Okay. And this is the common mistakes in presenting a research gap. Okay, the first one, the common problems. Okay, lack of proper reading. That's why, when later on you will know, like, hey, this is not enough materials. This is not enough materials. Only few citations. You will know just only from the citations. Later on you will know that the lack of the proper reading is actually that the common problem. Okay, and don't directly jump to the conclusions because and say nobody investigated that one before, and don't jump directly. It's like, oh, this is the problem, this is the solution, and then if it's as simple as that, then perhaps hey, the quality of the research is just not that good. If you can see like, oh, this is a details, analysis, and so on, and that will be a great research topic. Okay. And then lack of justification for addressing the gap. This is actually also another common problem. But this one, the lack of justification is actually because you don't have enough knowledge in that, I would say, in that topic. For example, when you read a paper, you don't know, you don't have the sense of justification. You don't know whether it is good or bad. For example, when me, and then, for example, let's say my mother. Okay, my mother is not a good coffee drinker, but for me, like, I always drink, well, I would say expensive coffee, and I know like which one is cheap, which one is a good coffee, and so on. So when I drink that, I know like, this is a good one. Oh, this is so-so, Although everyone has a different taste, but I know some kind of like this is a good one or this is a bad one because you have kind of the sense of justification. But my mother, when she drinks the coffee, she's not here. Oh, she's there. Okay, when she drinks the coffee, she doesn't know like, oh, is it good or is it bad? It's just, yeah, it's just a coffee. No, it's still different. You know, the taste is actually a bit different. Same with that, like that. Okay. Now this is very important, everyone. Okay, the academic writing. Okay, this is actually the thing that you need to learn again, and again. I know this is just this is the class. It looks so easy, but later on when you do it, it takes a lot of time. It's not that difficult, but you know it takes later on it costs you a lot of time for writing a paper. Okay, so this is basically the general knowledge. Okay, when you would like to start a research paper. Okay, it starts with something general things. Okay, the general things, and after that you can go to the the current problem, the research gap, and then the problems. The problems of the problem in the field, and then it goes to the objective of the study. Okay. After the objective of the study, we go to the method, the results. For example, you do the Six Sigma thing and so on. It's actually in here. But usually if you do the Six Sigma, it's just method result. This one can be combined. It's like Six Sigma. Usually people will combine it. And then we can have the summary of findings, the relevance of the finding, and how it is the implication of the study to the field. Okay, so this is actually the structure, okay, of the academic writing. So basically, there are 4 key questions, okay, that you need to answer. Okay, what did your study need to be done? Okay, you need to answer that one in the introduction. Okay. What did you do? The method. Okay, you have to mention that one. Okay. What's the finding? Okay, you can go to the results, and how will your study advance the field, or how it can be useful, not just only for your company, that perhaps the similar manufacturing company. Then we have to mention that one in the discussion. Okay, up to here, so far so good. Any questions, or you want to say something, or you want to ask something? Any questions, anyone? No? Is it clear?
Answer.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If everyone, if you feel shy to say something, you can type. It's funny that some students like, oh sir, I'm quite shy. So like, I'm kind of, why you shy with me? I'm kind of like, okay. I'm kind of like, why shy? You can just type it there. Okay, anyway, so far so good, then I can go to the next one. Okay. So this is the introduction, but again, later on you will know that later on the introduction part is actually so mahirap. At the beginning. Don't worry, when you read the paper, I will check sentence by sentence, and later on you will have the sense like, oh yeah, it's not make sense combining the sentence with that sentence. But later on you will develop that skill, and later on when you read the paper, you will like, this is good. This is not. This is also, later on you will see. So this is actually the research gap. Okay, it's actually in here. You need to identify what is currently known and what is currently unknown, and then you identify that, and actually you put what is the goal. For example, the goal of this study was to enhance the productivity, or like was to reduce the number of scrap, the scrap using the Lean Six Sigma approach. Yeah, that's the goal. Okay, so as simple as that one. So research gap is very important. Okay, and this is actually just like since all of us are most of us are engineers. Okay, so this is just like a formula when you identify the research gap. So I will definitely want to find this one in your introduction. If you do not have this one in your introduction, later on I will return it to you. Then I will tell, hey, where is the research gap? Okay, this is the signaling word, the gap, and also the research topic. For instance, however, few studies have been reported on copywriting in the Philippines. Yeah, that's already one research gap. Or for example, or another one. But I don't like the word but. Okay, however, again. Okay, however, okay, there is little information available on, for example, your company is about farming, you know, the one student, you know, for example, there is little information available on experimental, I forget what was that, experimental farming, blah blah blah, and so on. Okay. However, no work has been done on. Oh, this is very strong. You know, if you say like this one, no work has been done on. Are you sure no work? You know, for example, why I was very brave when I stated like in my publication in the TAAL, because I'm pretty sure that I'm the first person who published about the response actions during the 2020 TAAL eruption. The same thing that next week, one of my papers will be listed is actually about Bataan nuclear power plant. I would say like, yeah, this is the first study about the study that actually highlighted, will you agree to reopen the Bataan power plant or not? You know. And anyway, I'm not doing that one for politics. Okay, I'm doing that one for science and purely no politics for that one. Okay, so if you make it like this one, then that is very strong with that statement. And be careful if you're really, I would say that pretty sure, then you can also state that. This is another one, like although some literature is available on X, little information is available on Y. Okay, this is another way we do the research gap. Okay, in your study. Okay, you can you know, use some of these formulas. Okay, in your introduction. Okay, so far so good. Everyone. Vincent, you graduate from IE, huh? Vincent, are you graduated from IE or from not from IE? Because your picture is actually Mapua.
I graduated under the Department of Mathematics of Mapua.
Oh, mathematics. Oh, okay. Now you
Management Science and Engineering.
Okay. So okay. So far so good. Here up to here, yes. Hopefully. Okay. So this is actually my own publication, an example, okay, of my publication, okay. For instance, okay, this is the way I create the research gap, okay. Anyway, this is it's not very difficult. I would say I'm not doing this kind of topic anymore because this is like advanced ergo with advanced OR, and I'm kind of like get traumatic a little bit with the you know, this kind of topic because it's so mathematics, you know, and then I abuse those OR applications in the ergo because my advisor wanted me. It's just like, hey, you know what, usually people from ergo, we have good eyes, but we have no fit. You know, the fit is actually OR. You know, you have to combine both in order to really have a great impact. So yes, but I'm not doing this one anymore. So okay, for example, this is actually the way I created the research gap. Okay, I criticize the study. Okay, the one, the image, blah 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 blah. This one. However, these indexes only provide an information about how similar the selected camouflage on its background. A very limited study, blah 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 blah. And another one study. This is I criticize this study. Xue et al. Proposed a new method, blah blah blah. This one. However, such a method is difficult to be implemented in the enhancement stage, blah blah blah. Okay, so this is actually the way I criticize or I highlight the research gap. The same thing, you know, this is actually this is the continuity of this publication. Okay, this is this publication, and then another one I utilize meta heuristics using PSO, particle swarm. Okay, so this one actually the way I highlighted the research gap. Look at this one. However, the optimization technique was based on the local optimum derived from blah 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 blah. Moreover, blah 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 and so on. But this one I criticized myself. Actually, this is previously we applied, so I criticized myself. So that's why I would like to say, even I did another publication. You know, actually I'm criticizing myself that, hey, that one is just a local. There is another method that we can have. Perhaps we can find a more global optimum point. You know, if that's well, this is very OR, okay. But at least the one that I would like to tell to all of you is like you have to show the research gap, okay, in this one, okay. And another one I would like to show, you know what, this is very important skill for all of you that hopefully you will acquire these skills too, okay. Look at this one. The connection from one paragraph to the next paragraph is smooth, okay. Look at this one. Those minimizing CSI value, blah blah. This one, an optimization technique. Previously, we applied an optimization technique by utilizing responsive phase method and so on. This one. A further investigation is required to derive global optimum, and it can be optimized by utilizing a more advanced optimization approach. Optimization approach can be divided into two categories, deterministics and stochastics. See, you can see the last, you know what? The last sentence, sorry, the last idea, the last topic, in here, it will continue to the next one. You will see later on in most of my publications, it's always like this one. So when you read the paper, you know what? It will be very easy. It's like the snake, it's like the flow is simple, okay? When I read some of my undergraduate students, how is it that thesis, only jumping from the first paragraph to the second paragraph, I'm kind of like, I got headache. Okay, let's just skip it. But when you read the paper, you understand. It means it's good. Okay. Is it because of the English problem? No, this is just a simple English, right? It's not because I have to show to you like, oh, this is difficult because this is easy because of the English. No. It's actually because of the idea and the flow, how you create your paper. It's actually more important than showing that oh, this is, I don't understand this paper, so it means that this paper is actually good. No, it's the opposite. Okay, if you don't understand the paper, then it means the paper is not well written. Okay, but if you do not understand because you don't have the knowledge, then it's a different thing. For example, sir, I don't know what is responsive phase. I don't know what is particle swarm. Yeah, because you don't have enough knowledge. Remember the first thing that I mentioned. You don't have enough knowledge to really have the justification whether this paper is good or bad. But that's another problem. Okay, if you have no justification in this topic. Okay, this is another one. For example, I created this one. Very limited study investigated the comparison between blah 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 and blah blah blah. Okay, this is the way I criticize this one. Although, or like despite these studies, still limited studies. And this one too. I actually criticize Professor Ma and Chuang. This one, however, the learning factor of blah 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 blah. So this one is actually how I attack this study. I attack this study. And so on. But anyway, if you feel that you have enough knowledge, you can say like this one. It is acceptable. Okay. This is another way I created in the publication related to COVID-19. Look at this one. Despite the availability of different studies about preventive blah, 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 this one. There is a significant lack of academic research addressing the COVID-19 situation in the Philippines that time. Okay, that time. Now there are so many. There are so many studies related to the COVID-19 in the Philippines. Okay, that time. This is when is the October 2020. Okay, that one and so on. Okay, so I would like later on. I would like to see this paragraph in your study. And avoid using complex words. Just use a simple. Simple way. Just like what I mentioned before. You should use simple writing. You should not use the complex words to make your idea impressive. Your idea is impressive. You have to make it simple and understandable. Okay. Use simple language. Okay. Explain it simply and clearly what you want to say. Okay. Later on, I will ask you so many times. When I got headache, when read your paragraph, I will just say like, hey, what do you want to say? Tell me what you want to say. I was like, tell me, what do you want to say in that paragraph? Using simple English, what do you want to say? Okay, so this is what you want to say. Is it like that? Then I will later on we will draw the paragraph based on what is the idea that you want to say in that paragraph. What is the main idea of that paragraph? Okay, later on you will see. Okay, this one is another way. This is okay. Which one? Oh yeah, Marinduque. Okay, my study in Marinduque. Look at this one. Despite the availability of many studies, this one very limited study investigated the interrelationship among vulnerability dimensions. Okay, you can see this one's like criticize one. Turner et al. Only describe, see, blah blah blah, while this one only presented. Okay, this one without. See, I can also attack this one too. But this one is a little bit strong. I read 100 papers in order to develop my knowledge about what is vulnerability. I didn't know what is vulnerability before until I got a project in Marinduque. So when I got a project in Marinduque, then I spent time to really study what is vulnerability, and I read many papers. And now I'm quite confident. Like, oh, okay, now I know what is vulnerability, and perhaps there is a research gap. Okay, in that one. But I know this is the PhD level. But all of you, I would like to I would say that encourage everyone to try your best to really establish the research gap, even though your study is just a company or capstone based study. Okay. And then this one is actually criticizing the technique. Okay. Later on, this is actually the skills. You have to understand why I stated like this one. Don't worry. It will be case by case. Okay. Later on, it will be how you say that? Because each student will have a different level of difficulty. So later on, I will go one by one. And this one, usually in your undergraduate, you will say like, oh, you have to have three, I would say that three objectives. Okay. It's always like, yeah, your thesis should have three. No need. Who say that? I'm like, perhaps the person needs to, finish PhD. If they say like, oh, you have to have three goals. No, only one is already enough. For example, this one, the purpose of this study was to blah 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 and so on. Do I have to have the second? The second purpose, or like subsequently, usually people will say like that. Subsequently, the more specifically, the purpose of this study, like, oh, why don't you just say directly? Like, what do you want to say? This study is very simple. Look at that one. The purpose of it was to derive the interrelationship among the three vulnerability dimensions using the CFA approach. That's all. I don't have like, oh, after that we have this, we have that. No need. One is enough. Okay. And then this one, as supported by this one, and so on, and this one. This is the contribution. Okay. You have to mention this one at the end of your introduction. See? Different from this study and this study, so I would like to see I would like to highlight the novelty of my own study. So yes, some studies already created, but I still want to emphasize my own contribution in this kind of study, this one. Okay. This is I would say that the contribution. Okay. CFA approach could be a significant method, which would be very beneficial for this one, particularly related to whatever. And so on. Okay. So this is actually the contributions. Okay. But be careful with the model auxiliaries in here. You know what? Be careful with this one. Although there's like, I'm very direct and very straightforward when I criticize something. The same with me in my, I would say that, with the same with my personality, I would say. Sometimes like some professors kind of like shocked when I say a little bit direct, because people will think like, oh, you're young, but the way you you speak is yeah, it's true, but it's very direct, but I don't know. I was trained by my parents to be honest and direct and like that one. Okay. So later on, but you need to be humble too when it comes to the contribution of your study. For example, this study will change the world. Are you sure your study will change the world? Not really, unless you are the first person who can find the medicine for the COVID-19, you can say that. Okay, usually it's very rare for someone in our field, in engineer, for instance, like to say like a will. Okay, so later on, be careful with the model auxiliaries. See, this is actually the degree of tentativeness. Okay, will. This study will change the world. Really? Not really. Without your study, we're still alive, unless you can eliminate the COVID-19. Yes, then all people in the world will cite your study. We will be very happy. Or like this study will change the world. Really? Okay. These studies could change the world. Yeah, could be. So you can see, right? This one, like, that's why I put it a little very, CFA could be, could be. People can like it, people can dislike it, The same with research, right? Or the same with art. Some professors can like my publication. Some they say like, oh, this is not a PhD level. Well, it's okay. It's an art. Some people can like it. Some people can dislike it. Okay, but I just do it in a scientific way. And after the review process, especially for the journal, the review process is very difficult. Okay, when after it got published, for example, if someone still dislike it, then it's fine. As at least we show that yeah, this is my idea. For example, my publication related to the COVID-19, actually being criticized by many top professors, very, very top professors and so on. But even so, they still acknowledge me and cite my publication and then say like, yeah, it has a contribution in this part and so on. So yeah, basically it's still useful. So be humble with the contribution of the study will change the world. Not really, will change your company. You sure? will make my company better. Not really, Are you sure? So be careful with the model auxiliaries, in the contribution of your study. And use short sentences. Later on, you will know. The way I train this one is quite painful. Later on, when you have long sentences and I got headache, I was like, hey, cut. Cut. One sentence, one idea. One sentence, one idea. This is not like an English exam. Okay. One sentence, one idea. Okay. And then, for example, there's the sentence like so long, blah 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 blah, and blah 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 blah, because blah 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 blah. Then I'm like, oh, I got headache, reading your paper. I'm tired. Can we cut, in here, cut in here, Then later on you will know. Who already survived in my class? Says, I always use you because you are a good example. I would say. Says you're a good example, right? I would say that I still remember the first time when you came to my class and how the manuscript, and after you finish my class,
Yes, sir. But
yeah.
I mean, that's how we do copywriting. So I have to relearn how to approach academic writing. And by the way, sir, I'm going to send you this class a link that would probably make our lives easier on sentence construction. So this is Hemingway app.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe for my paper, I'll be using this.
Oh, okay. So this is the way, right? Oh, okay. Okay. And use active more, okay? Active sentence more, okay? Rather than the passive. But for example, I would like to make it active, passive, active, and passive, just like in English program. And usually students is like, for example, this is like economic growth, and another one is like economic and about enhancement, economic, how we say that, for example, diversification, or you change this term into another term, then you know what, use one consistent term. Some students try to be so creative, like so when well, of course, some students is like one of my he graduated already long time, 2 years ago. Yeah, he graduated 2 years ago. And then it's funny that the first time when he came to me, and then when I look at the paper, I'm kind of like, hey, you keep using the different terms. I'm like, oh yes, sir. Just in the past, in English class, we have to use a different term to show our vocabulary skill. And I was just like, oh my god, that's why. And like, use one consistent term. For example, like economic growth, they just use this term, economic growth, and so on. Okay, so don't use economic growth. Another one is like economic and economic recovery, economic whatever. So if you are just talking one thing, just use the same term. Okay. Okay, this is the method. Okay, later on, if you're study related to the human, there is a human or questionnaire type, you have to mention about the sample, the participants. Okay, you need to mention about that. And then for you have to describe the method, and if it's about the statistical analysis, then what kind of statistical analysis did you do? Okay, if it is about Six Sigma, then you have to mention, the mic approach, and so on. Okay. If you are about OR, let me try to help you. Actually, my OR is not that bad actually, but it's just like well, it's not bad actually, but it's not the thing that I don't want to choose. It's not the thing that not really makes it does not make me excited actually. Okay. And then we can go to the results. In the results, you have to tell about these things. The findings that you need to tell. And then you have to be careful with the results section, okay? Because the results section usually the students make the mistake in the grammar. Okay, usually even my top PhD students, they make a mistake in this one in the grammar. Okay, I would like to tell. Okay, let me just share to the things, okay, to everyone what happened with some of my PhD students, I would say. That's why, like, I have to check sentence by sentence before publishing in okay, wait for a while, everyone. I'm opening the Mapua library. Why it takes so long? Okay, wait for a moment. Hey, all of you can access the Mapua library, diba? Hey, you pay 1,000 pesos, you know. You pay 1,000 pesos for accessing this one. So you go to Mapua library. If you would like to go to Science Direct, you can click this one, you know, Science Direct, okay? And then they will ask the login. It's actually, you can put your student number, and then the password is just the last 4 digits of your student number. Okay, so you can get this one, okay? You can download for free. Let's check one of my papers, okay? Which one you like? Let's go with the or this one. Okay, let's go with this one is okay, perhaps. Later on, I will show it to you. How, you know what? It's already 6. Okay. Okay. When you see my paper, look at the one. What is the main idea of the first paragraph? What is the idea of the first paragraph? Can you type or can you answer, everyone? No. The first idea is just about the vulnerability. Look at that one. Vulnerability is blah, 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 and so on. See, it is defined as, you know, and then, you know, you can talk about this one and this one. One of the most commonly vulnerability studies in disaster reduction is vulnerability to natural hazard. Look at the second one. Vulnerability to natural hazard is a potential vulnerability, you know, blah, 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 and so on. And this one. In order to this one, it is important for researchers to define the dimensions of vulnerability to natural hazards. Then what I will, you know, what I will talk about the next paragraph. This one. Vulnerability to natural consists of 3 different dimensions. See, I would like to guide to the dimensions of vulnerability. Then we go to the, you know, these 3 different dimensions. What's wrong with this one? This is what? This is the research gap. See? What about this one? This is another paragraph of research gap. Look at this one. Advanced approach such as confirmatory factor analysis. This is one I define. CFA is blah, 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 and so on. Then what? The purpose of the study. Should you make it long? No. Research paper, like usually like, you know, oh, sir, my thesis is 100 pages. And so what? I'm like, if your thesis is 100 pages, then I will not read it, you know, wasting time. What for, you know? So if you have only like introduction, 2 pages, but look at that one. Look at how many citations, how many papers that I read, you know, in here, then you will know. It's actually the quality is not based on the how long it is. It's actually the quality is actually based on, yeah, the pure quality of the how many studies that you read, you know, in that one. Okay. Okay, so the one that I would like to mention is actually about this one. Okay, the results sections. This one. If you would like to present a paragraph, you know what? The tenses is the present tense. But if you would like to explain the findings, you use past tense. For example, this one. The initial CFA blah, 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 is shown. It's not was shown. Okay, is shown in figure this one. So many students, you know, make a mistake with this one. In addition, this one, table 3 represents. Okay, it's not represented. Okay, but if you would like to talk about the findings inside, let's say, okay, and this one, based on this table, GFI and GFI value were. So see, then now if you talk about the findings, you know, about the findings, okay, then you use the past tense. Okay, in the results section, usually students make so many mistakes, especially in this one. And then next one is, oh no, next one is just discussion. Okay. Okay, up to here. Any questions? Is it clear? Okay, the same thing, you know, if you would like to present, for example, figure 1 represents the what in the, for example, in the hypothesis. Okay, let's say in the hypothesis. Okay, sorry, perhaps in and this one, let's say this one. Anyway, this is the senior high school students, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. So these 4 are from senior high school of Mapua. Look at that one, young innovators. So this is actually the affiliation of the senior high school. Anyway, for example, this one. Figure 2 represents or represents the theoretical framework of this study. So the same thing, if you every time when you would like to present something, a table or a figure, use the present tense. But if you would like to, how would I say that, explain the findings inside, then you have to use the past tense. Okay. Okay. Any questions? Okay, right? So far it's okay, right? Okay, then I will go to the next one. Okay, now we go to the discussion part. Okay, now the discussion part is actually about the summary of the findings. Okay, and we would like to see the relevance. Okay, and again, now it's actually in here. The things that I would like to highlight to everyone. You have to mention your limitations and future research. Okay, usually it's a little bit weird that people put the limitations in the introduction. Oh, the limitations of the study, blah blah blah. I'm like, how do you know the limitations of the study before the discussion part? If it is the scope, it's fine, but limitation is very weird to determine limitations for me because I don't know. Sometimes I have a disagreement with some faculties, but anyway, I just follow the thing in international standard. And then the limitations in here, okay, you have to mention like some limitations of the study. Be humble with your study. Your study is not perfect, always not perfect. Look at that one. For example, in here, you have to mention before the conclusions. I always say like that one. Where is it? This one, limitations. See, despite its promising findings, whatever that is, the current study notably possesses the limitations. Okay, you have to mention about, be humble in your study. The study is not like the best study ever in the world. You have to tell several limitations. For example, this is limited to, the island of Marinduque. This is limited to those indicators that are selected and so on. Okay.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes. What question?
Because I just realized that maybe I'm limiting the chances of my papers being accepted because I always use Philippines and Filipinos as keyword for my paper titles. And then I realized that I could just easily place that limit on the limitation section, right?
Again. What's the question?
I noticed that I kept on using Philippines and Filipinos as keyword for for the title of my papers. Is it? I'm thinking, is it a better idea to remove Philippines and Filipinos and just place it under the limitations section of the study?
Oh, it can be. It depends on the journal. Okay, it really depends on the journal. Okay, for the journal. Okay, usually some journals, for example, the disaster risk reduction, they would like to see something unique in a certain country. Okay, they would like to see some kind of like disaster, because it's disaster. They have to highlight the place where the disaster is. But for ergonomic study, they would like to make it more into general. Although that you have, respondents from the Philippines, they don't really put that one as the factor inside of the factor inside of the interest of the study. So it really depends on the journal. It really depends on the usually, based on my experience, depends on the journal. And later on, some journals they like it general thing, some journals they like it more specific. So if it is about disaster, I don't see that one as a limitation of the study. But if it is more general thing, it's perhaps limitations of the study.
So
Depends.
what I did on the cognitive ergonomics paper was wrong. I mean, the titling there, it included Filipino Valorant players.
But it's only conference, diba? So it's fine.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
It's conference, so it's fine. For conference paper, it's not that strict. I would say like, the conference lectures, they just want to see the idea and so on. And as long as it's the fine, and it's fine. Okay, but when it's journal, you'll be attacked perhaps. Okay, this is the tips and the challenge. Okay, start with something that you're passionate about. Okay, and then you need to determine the trends. For example, that it's COVID-19. Okay, and then if you go to the capstone, there are so many chances for the IEMG, because we actually collaborate. We collaborate with many top universities. Okay, you can find some nice advisors. Okay, and then just need to start doing it continuously. Okay, that's very important. Well, it's me when I was doing the research camp. And then anyway, this is fine. Okay, if you would like to do the research cap, okay, I would like to tell you something. This table is actually very useful. Okay, it's actually the summary table. Okay, you put all the references that you read related to the topic that you want to do. For example, this is the title, the author, the year, the country, the journal, and so on. Okay, so this is actually the way you can do it. And later on, when you start writing it, you can, make it actually much better. Okay, for this one, I would say like much easier for you to really when you start writing the paper. Okay, this is like a summary, right? Rather than you open one by one like that one, whether you just make a summary and then later on when you write the research cap and then the discussion, it will be easier for you. Okay, this is don't worry, this is some of the studies that perhaps. So you need to be ready, okay, to start your study and start your research cap. Okay, so that's all for the first meeting. Okay, so anyway, any questions?
Sir, just a quick question. Can I still change the title of my paper for the copywriting paper?
Okay, sure, of course. You can change the title and you can send it back to me. Perhaps you want to say you want to change something. Just I would say that just send it to me.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, for other students, so far so good. So far so good for other students. Is there any questions?
Okay, it's okay lang po.
Okay,
So
okay.
good.
Okay, so if so far so good, then you know what? Next week, okay, it's time for you. I will create one assignment this week. Okay, it's just like what is the topic of your study? It's okay, just describe in one sentence to 1 or 2 sentences. Okay, if you have 1 or 2 sentences, if you have the data, you can just attach, in the Blackboard. And I was like, oh, you have the data already. Then perhaps we can do something with that one. If you don't have the data, then we actually will get the data. If we will analyze the data. Okay, so I will create that one in the Blackboard. Okay, and then just answer it. Don't worry. There is no deduction when you there is no such deduction if you submit the lit lit paper in my class. Okay, and then starting from that one, next week I will start individual consultation. Okay, one by one. Okay, perhaps some it's time for you to really need individual consultation because I have 17 students in this class, so I have to start as early as possible. Otherwise that I will not make it for all of you. And I would say 3 hours divided by 17 students. Okay, then perhaps one student we can have equal time. Okay, that's the way in this class. It's a little bit different with some other classes when you attend the class, you learn something. Oh, this is the way, and then you go home, you do the exam and so on, and you submit and you got the grade. No way. This is actually research class, so it's totally different. Okay, then we can start the individual meeting next week. For example, sir, can I just write a scratch introduction of my paper? Yes, you can write it. And then, for example, can I just show something next week to you? This is my scratch, and then I was like, yeah, okay. Then I'll just make it better and better, and other students will see that, the process, how I, enhance someone's paper. But even so, looking at that one, if you don't do it, you will not acquire the skill. Only by looking, usually in a writing, you have to be the one who, just like cooking, for example, cooking, you watch the YouTube. Oh, that's the way we cook. Okay, then I can cook that one. You sure? When you really cook that by yourself, can you do that exactly like that one? Not really, right? So if there is a chef next to you, it's better for you to really like learn it by yourself. Then actually that's the way, to make your dish is nice and sell well. Okay. Any other questions? If not, then actually we can end for today's class, and then please think the topic. Okay, and then please think how you will get the data. For example, if you're like, sir, can I do the consumer behavior? Can I do the structural equation modeling? That type of studies is you're very familiar. Yes, you can. If I get ready to get the 250 data, okay, 250 respondents and so on. But if you don't want to do that, I have a company data. Can I just do it? Okay, then we can also do it. And then the goal, at least for all of us, we can get the one Scopus in the conference paper. But if you are really good enough and really like the topic and you would like to expand, the level of the difficulty, then we can go to the journal. Okay, If no more questions, then I can
Sorry,
dismiss.
sir, just
Yes,
one
yes.
question.
Yes, what question?
Yeah, if we will be conducting some survey, what is the good number for number of respondents?
Depends on the depends on what is the goal. But actually, like if you conduct a structured equation modeling, usually I would like to request my students to collect 250 respondents. But 250 is not that difficult, nowadays using the Facebook platform. Usually, like 1 week, some students already get 1,000. I'm like, how did you do that? Using the Google form, Google Docs, Google form, they distributed that one. Can you 5 minutes, just to answer these kind of questions, usually like 250 is already a good number.
Yeah, but in terms of some distributed, like the geographics and also the demographics, is there any tip on we can distribute like the age
Yeah,
range?
that's also an issue actually. Yeah, I do understand that's also an issue. Then usually I put that one as the limitation of the study.
Mhm.
I put that one as the limitation. For example, like it's not well balanced. For example, that
Yes,
since we
correct.
utilize, yeah, I know, since usually it's online, and then most of the users online is actually younger generations. That's why like the distribution of if you can see the age is actually not normally distributed. Okay, so usually I put that one as the limitation of the studies. Like, oh yeah, this is not well distributed, but even so, we still collect many respondents and so on. It's fine.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions? No? No other questions? Okay, if no other questions, then we can end this class. You can have a nice weekend, and then see you next week, everyone.
See you
Bye.
next week, sir. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
See you
you.
next week,
Bye.
bro.